Have you ever met someone who makes you want to be a better person? Ever encountered somebody who, with their words or example or their lifestyle, makes you want to try to be better? You know, we've been talking about love, and this agape love, which is a love for someone even when they are undesirable. It's a sacrificial love. And the call from Jesus today and from God the Father in the first reading is to prophecy, to be a prophet. And anyone who's a prophet, whether it's Isaiah or Jeremiah or Hosea or Joel or any of the minor prophets, up through John the Baptizer, even these apostles, even Paul, who says he's an apostle by abnormal birth. In other words, he didn't start that good and now he's doing pretty well. Whenever he calls us, he does not call those who are perfect. But if we love him in the way that he's calling us to, then we will begin to change our life because of him. Last week we talked a little bit about pulling the bodies out of the river and how nobody wants to go upriver and find out why the bodies are coming down. It's just kind of easy to go along the way things are. And the reason is, if we try something new, then we might have to make a path where a path originally was not. And that's going to be a lot of work. God approaches Isaiah, and he says, "You're going to be my prophet." And Isaiah says, "You don't want me. I'm a man of unclean lips, surrounded by people with unclean lips." And God cleanses that. And it doesn't mean Isaiah is perfect after that. But it means that Isaiah is trying. That he encountered God and God changed his life forever, and so it makes him want to be better. It makes him want to be a spokesperson, even if he's not so sure about himself. And that's what we're called to do. So as we begin to try to detox from this objectification that we experience sometimes in this life, looking at people as objects instead of subjects, it means burning a new path. And if we can burn a new path and live in a new way, it's not something we're supposed to keep to ourselves. We are called to infect others with that joy and that faithfulness. And so it kind of begs the question, why don't we? And I think there are, amongst the reasons, there are two main reasons why we do not do that. I think the first is we feel insecure even about our own faith. We wonder sometimes if we're even Catholic. Because some of the teachings of the church we can't put our head around, or maybe we can't live in that way. And so if I'm a hypocrite, then how can I even begin to talk to someone else about the faith? Jesus said, "I came to heal those who are sick, not the self-righteous, not those who don't need healing." That people will say, "Well, I don't go to church because the church is filled with hypocrites." And that's good news. Welcome, hypocrites. You're in good company. Because a hypocrite is someone who is not perfect, but they're trying to live better. They screw up every now and then, but they're trying. That's the hypocrite. St. Paul will say, "Why is it that I do the things that I don't want to do, and I don't do the things that I want to do?" He's a hypocrite par excellence. And he's a saint in the church. So when we begin to talk about this love, and romantic love, we talk about the theology of the body. And this is what we believe as Catholics. John Paul II would say that the man's body created by itself doesn't make any sense. The woman's body created on its own doesn't make any sense. But when you put them side by side, God's plan comes forward very clearly. That there is a theology of their bodies. And the theology is that they are complements of each other. They actually fit together with each other and can bring forth life. That is the theology of the body. And so it is in generosity. John Paul would say that complementarity, creating the woman and the man as complements, was God's antidote to selfishness. Because a man by himself cannot fulfill that plan of God. A woman by herself cannot fulfill that plan. But when they enter into a relationship that is permanent and faithful and life-giving, they really are the sacrament. They are a visible sign of an invisible reality. We believe this as Catholics. And yet it's sometimes hard to profess that to other people because we feel insecure about it. But we're trying. It's interesting that Jesus goes up to Simon Peter on the boat. Now imagine this. You've been out fishing all night. You're a professional fisherman. You've been out fishing all night. You're cleaning your nets. You're ready to go home. And then Jesus says, Jesus, this carpenter, by the way, says, put out your nets for another catch. And here's this carpenter who knows nothing about fishing, is telling them what to do. And they do it. And they catch a boatload of fish, literally. And Peter says to Jesus, depart from me, I am a sinful man. And it's funny here because Jesus doesn't say to him, no, Peter, you're okay, you're all right, you're not that bad. He's silent about it. Almost like saying, yeah, Peter, I know you're a sinful man. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. But I'm going to make you better if you trust me. That's the call. Peter is probably the most imperfect of all the apostles, and yet he becomes the leader. So never be worried about your unworthiness. You're worthy. You're worthy to be a prophet of God as long as we're trying always to be better. I think the second reason why we do not profess what we should is because we're not allowed to judge people. This has become a bad word. Like if you say something, you're automatically judging someone. Imagine if you go to a health and wellness seminar and they tell you that you need to eat right and exercise. If you're not eating right and exercising, then they're automatically judging. They are. Well, I'm here to tell you that you are called to judge. We have to judge. We're not supposed to condemn people, but we do need to judge. If we see something that is harmful to a person or to others around them, and we do not somehow want to help them to be better, that's neglectful, if not harmful. I think the way we do it is important, though. What are our motives? If I'm saying to someone, you need to change your life so that you can be more like me, well, that's self-righteousness. Or if I'm saying to someone, you need to do this the way I do it, just out of preference or opinion, that's condemnation. But to be able in love to have a dialogue with someone and be able to say to them, I am not perfect, but I want to perfect myself as much as I can. I want to be as good for myself as I can be. And I want to help you to do the same. Not in a way that's self-righteous or judging, but in a way that the lover loves the beloved and wants to raise them up. That's what we are called to do. And sometimes it's going to be hard because we have to pave a road that hasn't been paved yet. We have to make a new path, but nothing is impossible for God. We have to be so careful in looking at this that we don't echo what John Paul II says here in The Splendor of Truth. He says, it would be a very serious error to conclude that the Church's teaching is essentially only an ideal, which must then be adapted, proportioned, graduated to the so-called concrete possibilities of humankind, according to a balancing of the goods in question. In other words, he's saying it would be a mistake for us to think that true chastity, to think that goodness and prudence and temperance, all these things are just ideals. Nobody can ever reach them. It's something to shoot for, but nobody can reach them except for the saints. They are well within our grasp, and we are called to do this. So how can we do this? How do people react to this? If I'm trying to love in the way God wants me to love, if I am going to look objectively and try to decide right and wrong, if I am going to try to better myself, how do I do this? Well, there's three ways that I see that people do this. The first way is they don't. They don't do anything. I'm not going to change a single thing. I'm doing fine for now. I got to focus on bigger and better things. If we go to a therapist or a psychiatrist and we say, I'm depressed all the time and I can't put a finger on it. And you talk for a whole hour about why you might be depressed. And then at the end of the session you say, oh, by the way, I am an alcoholic. Or by the way, I do have an addiction. Or by the way, I'm in bad relationships. Well, that was pretty important information. That it might be necessary for us first to detox before you can even begin to deal with the depression. And in fact, by detoxing, the depression might lessen, if not go away entirely. So there are those who will live their life however they want to, and maybe at the age of 45 or 50 they have a little bit of a midlife crisis. Or maybe they find Jesus, so to speak. And then they regret the 25 years they wasted when life could have been better. That's what we're talking about. So if we just kind of flounder out there and we go about live and let live, I don't want to judge anyone because I don't want them judging me, and we go on like that, it happens all the time. The second way we can deal with this is we might be trying to be better, and so we white knuckle it. So yes, I'm going to be chaste, or I'm going to be continent. I'm going to try to look at people as subjects. I'm going to do my prayers and do everything I can, and we're white-knuckling it the whole time. And that's part of the transition. We have to go through that transition, but if that's a permanent state of life, you won't make it through life. You know, you see these people in church sometimes, and they're praying the rosary like they're angry that they have to pray the rosary. Or they're turning pages and doing violence like they can't believe that they have to pray in the first place. Or people who are being chaste and they're saying, I'm going to be chaste until I'm married and I'm going to remain pure and I'm going to be joyful about it. Can't you tell? I'm joyful about it. And it's horrible to see. There's no joy there. But it is part of a detox. It's part of a change in the way we live. And if you've ever been with someone in detox, it isn't pretty. But they don't remain in that state. Eventually they move on. You know, my nephew, he can be a little devil sometimes. Actually, he can be a little devil a lot of the time. But he goes through these stages. In the original stages, he would be really good, usually before Halloween or Christmas or Easter, when there was some time when he might get something. And he'd be really good when he was around his dad, because his dad would punish him. He was pretty hardcore. And as he got older, then it was more like, well, he wanted to be approved, and he didn't want to disappoint. And we all go through those stages. But there comes a time when you grow up, I hope, when we actually do the right thing out of love. It's not that we don't want to disappoint our parents or we want their approval. It's that we love them. We kind of honor them if they're good parents. And that's the way it is with God. So we can white-knuckle it for so long and try to follow all the rules, but rules aren't what will keep us chaste. Rules are not what will keep us with temperance and prudence and all the virtues. Ultimately, it is the love of the beloved. And that's what we're pursuing. What do we look for in our relationships? Are we looking for a permanent, lasting, faithful relationship? Or are we looking for the quick fix? We're looking for the hookup, because we can get that. And it's not permanent, it's not lasting, it's not life-giving. To go out into the deep means to put in more effort, more energy, even when it seems like I might be wasting my time. That's what God is calling us toward. And I guarantee you this, if you search for that love and you're patient and you begin to grow in these virtues, you begin to see things differently. You begin to see them clearer. You begin to look at people differently. No more as what they can do for me or as objects, but beginning to see past this to the person who they are. And it makes all the difference in the world. That is that agape relationship. There was a girl I taught when I was a teacher, and her mother contracted Lou Gehrig's disease, which is ALS. And pretty much you can feel everything, but you will eventually be totally paralyzed, and you will die from this in most every case that I've heard of. So her mother's in her early 50s, she contracts Lou Gehrig's disease, and her husband will not put her in a facility. He takes care of her himself. Now, he had money to be able to do this, which is good, but he came home and took care of her. He got out of work and did all the And eventually she lost use of everything but her eyes. In fact, she had a computer program where she could look at a certain part of the screen and it would give simple commands for what she needed. And I remember one night, I was supposed to go over and visit her and I was running late. And I went through their garage, as I often did. And I went into the living room and there she was, laying in her hospital bed. And she was asleep. The room was kind of dim. And he was at the base of the bed, rubbing her feet. Now she was asleep. Probably didn't even realize he was rubbing her feet. When she could offer him nothing in the way of intimacy or anything physical, there he was, rubbing her feet. This selfless love for someone even when they can offer nothing in return. That is what we search for. Lasting, faithful, life-giving. And it is well within our reach. So I want to give you something practical as we begin to go through this kind of detox and trying to grow closer to God and the virtues. 3 things. The first thing is, at the end of Mass, on your way out, we're going to give you these little cards that I made up. And on the front of the card, it basically says, resources to help change harmful habits. And it gives websites, it gives books, many of which we have at the Newman House, and you can borrow those. On the back side of the card, it says, overcoming the objectification of other people. And it has 2 sections. What does not work, and what does work. And I guarantee you, when I preach to you, I'm preaching to myself first, just so you know. I'm not preaching as someone who does not need salvation. Just like none of us should preach to anyone else as if we don't need salvation. This is the first step. I guarantee you, if these are implemented, you will see a change within a week. The way you look at people, the way you interact with people. The second thing that we need to do is listen. Remember we talked about active, reflective listening. To be able to dialogue with someone and not try to finish their sentences for them, not wait for them to pause so that we can get out of the situation or say what we want to say. Totally receptive to what they're saying. Asking questions, making them feel that they are loved and that we want to be a part of their world. And finally, the third thing is reconciliation. Let the stuff go. To make a clean start, let it go. We don't need to carry all this stuff around with us. The sacrament gives us grace, the burning of the lips of Isaiah. Jesus saying to Peter, get up, I know you're a sinful man, but I am with you. It makes all the difference. Tomorrow, I will be at the ELC in 241D, hearing confessions from 11 to 1. And I want this to be a regular thing. You got to go there for lunch, you got to go there for dinner at some point. I want it to be convenient. You can stop by and go anonymously or face to face, and it wouldn't take long, but to leave that stuff aside. In the next few weeks, the Lord is entering in with His grace in an effort to help us be the best we can possibly be. Have you ever encountered a person in your life who makes you want to be better? That person is already there. We just need to ask.